Give us the morning message. I think you have all your students in the right order. You can either use this or keep them here, whichever you're more comfortable.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for having me. If you don't know, Sadie Sprankle, who I think you guys are aware of, or she's been here before, she quit, well not quit, but anyways, I'm taking over for her. So this is about my journey to this point in my life. So ever since, do I just click? Okay. Ever since I was a kid, I grew up in church and all of those things. I remember praying like in my car seat to a song that had Isaiah 6:8 in it. And I prayed, "Here I am, Lord, send me." And there's a part in the song where it says, "On the other side of the ocean, she turns and walks away, what a shame." And I just was like, wait, there's people that don't know about God. And so ever since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to tell people about Jesus. And my church was always very involved with missions. When I was 9, I got to learn how to share the gospel through a little colorful book called A Wordless Book. And then we had like a festival downtown in Morgantown where I live, and they said, "Hey, go and do what we just practiced." And so I went as a little 9-year-old and shared the gospel with people I didn't know, and I was just like, "Oh, that was so fun, I want to do this." So it's always been something on my heart, missions has, and I just was always waiting for the right time to step into that. So yeah, this is just a little bit about my journey. So during my time in college, I sought the Lord a lot, trying to figure out where I should go to college, what I should major in, and all of those things. And I felt Him call me to education, and so I went to college to become a teacher. And so I'm just gonna move that a little bit. Okay, so something that has guided me throughout this whole time and throughout college was remaining in the Lord. And I don't think I could have done anything that I've done in life without remaining in Him, because He is my true guide. So this is a verse. "Remain in me, and I will remain in you. For a branch cannot produce fruit if it is severed from the vine. And you cannot be fruitful unless you remain in me. Yes, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who remain in me, and I in them, will produce much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Anyone who does not remain in me is thrown away like a useless branch and withers. Such branches are gathered into a pile to be burned. But if you remain in me and my words remain in you, you may ask for anything you want, and it will be granted. When you produce much fruit, you are my true disciples. This brings great glory to my Father. I have loved you even as the Father has loved me. Remain in my love." So the ways in which I tried to remain in the Father were through daily prayer, fellowship with friends, worship time, going to church, going to small group, all of those regular things. And I also I had a little bit of a revelation. I love to listen to audiobooks and to read. And then one day I was like, wait, I just listened to a 30-hour book. How much of the Bible could I have listened to in that time? So I started listening to the Bible also, some on my drives and things like that, because the Word doesn't return void. And so if you're just listening to it, the Lord will show you something beautiful in it. And so I just encourage you guys in that. So when you remain in Him and are led by the Spirit, you can walk in the authority that you have been adopted by Christ into His kingdom. Oh wait, here's the slide for that. I didn't have a note. So time in prayer, time in the Word, time in fellowship, and time in rest. So Romans 8:14-17 says, "For all who are led by the Spirit of God are children of God. So you have not received a spirit that makes you fearful slaves. Instead, you received God's Spirit when He adopted you as His own children." So throughout college, as I remained in the Lord and sought to be led by Him, there were just little things that would pop up, and I would be like, oh, there's God, like He's just, walking along with me. And so one time I went to a Christian university, and so we had chapel services weekly. And one night at a chapel service, I was praying, and I was really homesick because I was 6 hours away, which isn't that far compared to across the world. And I was just like, God, this is so hard. I just want to leave. I want to go home and just quit being far away from my family and just do all of that. And I don't want to do it anymore. I had a really tough roommate situation, and I'm just like, I don't feel at home anywhere, and I just want to go back home. And I felt like he was like, well, this is just preparation for what you've been asking for your whole life. And I was like, what? Okay, that's fair. And so then I just was like, okay, I'll stick it out. So I stuck it out, and whenever I graduated, it was COVID, so then I came back home. But another time at college, it's just, Christian colleges are so fun. A friend was praying over me, and he didn't know that I had wanted to be a missionary since I was a kid, and he prayed that I would have a heart for ministry for the nations. And for some reason, I wrote that down, and I just think that's encouraging because he didn't know, but there he was praying for that for me. So I came home during COVID. It was kind of hard to get a job, so I got a job at a local Christian school, and it was a really good time. I taught preschool, and then in between the school year, like in 2023, in May, I shifted to teaching 4th grade and went on a trip to Hungary. And so here's my first little camp pictures. People from my church, the Depews, who are the field directors in Hungary, invited us to come and teach at English camp because volunteers had been low since COVID, and they were like, hey, home church, send some people. And so they're like, can anyone send a teacher that can teach English? And so they sent me. I mean, I wanted to go, but in the kitchen before I left, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I don't want to go because, like, what if I feel like I have to leave and, like, go to Hungary for a while? And she was like, that's not going to happen, don't worry about it. And I'm like, I don't know, Mom, I've been praying about it for a while. So anyways, I got to Hungary, and in the car from the airport, the field director was like, hey, Haylee, do you want to come and work here? And I was like, no, I just got a job as a 4th grade teacher. I'm going to do that for a really long time, and I just don't want to do that. So it kind of felt like throughout camp, there was kind of like an elephant in the room in my quiet time with God, you know, because I was like, here's the thing I've been asking for, and then I'm like, no, I don't actually want to do it. But camp was just such a wonderful time, and I saw how quickly, like, just the body of Christ is just something that's so special. Like, you just bond with people so quickly when you're open and honest. Like, I didn't know people, and now some of them are my lifelong friends, and I'm just like, wow, like, yeah, the love of Jesus is so special. So after camp, we had a little bit of a time to debrief, and we had dinner, and then went and watched the sunset over the hill in Budapest. And I was just looking out. I ran off into the woods by myself because I'm raised in the country, and I'm like, this city, I need to go out in the woods by myself. So I ran off in the woods, and I was like, okay, God, now it's time. We can talk. And he reminded me of Proverbs 3:5-6, to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. And I was reminded of that. I was like, okay, felt like he was saying, do you trust me? And I was like, I've trusted you this far, so I guess, yeah, I do trust you, but I knew that that would mean giving up a lot of things and quitting my job and all of that. And so, yeah. But as you remain in him, things become more clear. Doubt will creep in, but if you cling to the truths found in the word, then you'll know how to listen to the Lord and walk in obedience. So the first step was listening to him, and then the next step was the action steps of obedience, which that's not the fun stuff. It's the scary stuff. So I came back, prayed a lot about the position they were offering me, which was as a preschool teacher. And I was like, I just got done with preschool. I don't know if I want to do that again for a while. I want older kids and all these things. But I just felt like the Lord was like, but I just want you to step into this. And so in October 2023, I applied and started like figuring out, okay, how long can I keep working while also starting to become like heading towards the field. And so then in March of 2024, I went to a fundraising training, and they were like, if you don't quit your job, it'll probably take you 3 to 5 years to get there because you'll just be fundraising with your leftover time from your 40-hour plus work week. And as a teacher, you work more than 40 hours because you have to do all the grading and all of that. So I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to quit my job. And I didn't want to do that. It was tricky. And all the people at my school are just so wonderful. And they love me and I love them. And the kids had told me, oh, I can't wait till you're my teacher and all these things. And I was like, I'm gonna disappoint so many people. But the Lord was just like, listen and obey. And so I did, and I quit my job last May and have been just working, fundraising, and doing all the trainings that One Mission Society has us do before we leave. So yeah, let me see what my next slide is. Oh yeah, okay. So over that time though, I didn't want to do the hard thing of quitting my job. I was like, oh, I'll just keep working, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I was encouraged by lots of times in scripture where the people didn't really want to obey, but they knew that was the thing they had to do. And while I was reading about the Israelites being disobedient as they were, I found this verse in Isaiah that says, if only you will obey me, you will have plenty to eat. But if you turn away and refuse to listen, you will be devoured by the sword of your enemies. I, the Lord, have spoken. And that's a little bit grim and a little bit scary, but it just shows us that as we walk in obedience, the Lord will provide for us and He'll take care of us. And only the Lord knows what is truly good for us. We might have our ideas, but He's the one that truly knows. So, that leads us to Romans 8:28, that we know that God works all things for the good of those who love Him and who have been called according to His purpose. And I believe that I've been called according to His purpose, and you all have been called according to His purpose. And so yeah, so you may be wondering how I'm going to be a takeover for Sadie if the preschool is happening and I'm a preschool teacher. There were some things with the Hungarian government, and it just ended up not being feasible for the preschool to open, so they just stopped the whole project. And I knew last summer when I was there at camp that some things were uncertain with the preschool, and because I went back for English camp again last summer, and I was like, okay, God, if there's any way, if Sadie is ever going to quit or if she needs a helper, just please let it be me. Let me be able to take her job or just work alongside her, because that's really what I want to do. And I didn't know she was going to leave. I thought she was going to stay in Hungary forever. But I thought, okay, I need to make my request known, and so I did. And then when the preschool thing ended, that was like early December, and I was just like, oh, this puts me back further in my fundraising thing, because I have to raise more money to do Sadie's job and all of these things. And yeah, so I was just reminded to trust in the Lord, that He had brought me that far, that He is working for our good, and that He has a plan, and that He's been faithful before, and He'll continue to be faithful. And so about that time, I didn't know, like I said, didn't know Sadie was going to leave. I found out that she was going to come home, and I was like, oh, so her job would be an option. And I prayed about it and talked with the field leaders there and talked with Sadie just to find out like what all that entailed, and really felt like this was the opportunity the Lord was leading me to. And I think if I hadn't been offered the preschool job when I got off of the airplane, I wouldn't have said yes to going and being an English ministries coordinator, just because that's not something I'm as comfortable with as teaching preschool, but I am equipped and I'm excited to do that. So I'll be the English ministries coordinator. Hungary is a really small country, and so they can't like talk to people outside of their country very well, and like it's only a short drive. It's kind of like where we live, how you could go to Pittsburgh in an hour and a half or whatever, but if they go to a big, well, I live in West Virginia, so Pittsburgh's another state for me, but so like going somewhere that's only an hour and a half to 2 hours away, they can't talk to them. So they want their kids to learn English for better job opportunities and just communication across the board, so they're willing to send them to Christian organizations to learn English. So I'll be designing the curriculum and planning all of the camp things and coordinating with volunteers in order to share the gospel with these kids. And curriculum design is one of my most favorite things, So I'm so excited to get to integrate Christian things throughout that to share the love of God with the kids, because they're hungry for it. Some of them go to Catholic school and things like that, and I was just talking with them this summer and telling them about how Jesus cursed the fig tree because he was upset, and they're like, what, Jesus got mad? And I was like, yeah, he did. Like, he was human just like us. He got mad, he got sad, and all of these things. And they're like, wow, they just tell us, like, follow the rules. They don't tell us about Jesus being a person. So I'm just excited to get to show them a bit more of that and show them that Jesus cares for them as a person too. So here's some more. These are camp pictures from this summer. Really, really good time. Camp was really fun. So I'm still looking for monthly partners and people to just champion me, whether it's just sharing sharing my Facebook posts or things like that. Like last week I made a little Facebook post and I got 2 new supporters just from my friends sharing it. So things like that are really helpful, even if money isn't a thing you can do right now. But if it is, and the Lord is calling you to that, that'd be awesome too. So just a little question to ponder is, what does remaining in the Lord and listening to Him and being obedient look like for you? Is there something that He's calling you to? Is there something that you need to step away from or step into? I encourage you to be thinking about that and to trust in Him. And so we all believe in the Great Commission, I hope, that the Lord has called us to make disciples of all nations. And I believe that everybody has like a different calling to do that in different ways. Like I have some friends that work at a sub shop and they bring people to church all the time and they're telling them about Jesus and they're just working at a sub shop. And so I just think that it's really special that the Lord has called everybody to do things in their own unique way, and this is just the way that I'm doing it. So thank you guys, that is all that I have. And I have little prayer cards on the little table with the pamphlets if anybody wants a